I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I got to have faith. I got to have faith. Baby, I know you're asking me to stay. Say please, please, please don't go away. You say I'm giving you the blues. Maybe you mean every word you say. I can't help but think of yesterday and another who tied me down to lovable rules. Before this river, there comes an ocean. Before you throw my heart back on the floor. Oh, baby, I reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I wait for something more. Yes, I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Just have to wait because I got to have faith. To have faith. Before this river, here comes an ocean. Before you throw my heart back on the floor. Oh, baby, I reconsider my foolish notion. Well, I need someone to hold me, but I wait for something more. 'Cause I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. Because I gotta have faith. I gotta have faith. In a little while from now, if I'm not feeling any less sound, I promise myself to treat myself and visit a nearby tower. And climbing to the top, will throw myself off in an effort to make clear to whoever what it's like when you're shattered, left standing in the lurch at a church where people were saying, my God, that's tough. She stood him up. No point in us remaining. We may as well go home, 'cause I did on my own, alone again. Naturally, to think that only yesterday I was cheerful, bright and gay, looking forward to who wouldn't do the role I was about to play. But as if to knock me down, reality came around, and without so much as a mere touch, cut me into little pieces, leaving me to doubt. Talk about God in His mercy, who, if He really does exist, why did He desert me in my hour of need? I truly am indeed alone again. Naturally, it seems to me that there are more hearts broken in the world that can't be mended, left unattended. What do we do? What do we do? Alone again, naturally. Looking back over the years, whatever else that appears, I remember I cried when my father died, never wishing to hide the tears. And at 65 years old, my mother, God rest her soul, couldn't understand why the only man she had ever loved had been taken, leaving her to start with a heart so badly broken, despite encouragement from me. No words were ever spoken. When she passed away, I cried and cried all day, alone again, naturally. Alone again, naturally.
Okay, hi. Good to see y'all again. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. Glad you're here.
Yes, nice to see you. Yeah.
Is anybody out there?
Okay, so our ASM is telling us that there are a whole lot of you gathered on YouTube. That's great.
Great. So we're students at Wesleyan University, and we are the company putting on this performance, formerly and still known as the Method Gun.
Right now, we are logged in from 4 time zones and 3 countries to welcome you to this live stream. And thank you for joining us for what has become the Spring Department production.
We are so grateful to Wesleyan Center for the Arts for all of their help in keeping this show going, to President Michael Roth, to our families for putting up with us rehearsing all over our houses, to all of you for showing up, and especially to the RUDE MECHS of Austin, Texas for letting us work with this material.
Okay, housekeeping. First, close all of your other browser windows so that your streaming experience on YouTube is optimized. And remember that being on Zoom, part of that is going to be the individual lag time. What you are seeing is unique to your own computer screen. We are each responding to each other in what feels like a real flow of time to us, which may or may not be the same flow of time to you. 2, if you're having trouble now or at any point during the show, use the chat box to ask for help, and our ASM Milton will help you out shortly. Hi, Milton. 3, if we're having trouble, like if one of our videos freezes during a scene, our assistant director will jump in as swing until we get going again. Thanks, Will. Meanwhile, our other assistant director, Nick, will be running our sound. Hey, Nick.
Before we launch the show, we want to give you all a chance to do just a tiny bit of audience participation. So, everybody in your own houses, wherever you're watching this from, we want you to crack your knuckles. Good. Yes. Now, I want you to grab your cell phone, which I'm assuming is close by, but if not, I want you to go and get it. All right? Once you have your hands on your phone, we want you to close your eyes. We want you to think of somebody who taught you something. We want you to recall the teacher that influenced you more than any other living human, whether for good or for ill. We want you to generate an image of this person who I would describe as your guru. Really think of them as though they're in the room with you. Imagine them sitting across from you, getting up, walking over to you. Really see their facial expressions, their hair, right? There's nothing more personal than hair. Okay. Now, when you have a good image, we want you to open your eyes. And text or WhatsApp the name of that person to Chapin's number, which Penelope is holding up in her box. Milton will also put this number in the YouTube live stream chat. And please only text this number, do not call it. While people do that, Elijah, could you play some music for us, please? Thank you. We're collecting these names as a way of gathering the energy of everything we've all learned and inviting into this live stream the spirit of what we've all been taught. And you know what it was like to be a student at any point in your life in need of guidance and discipline and encouragement from anyone. Please really do text someone's name down. And if you can't think of a name to write down, you can write the name Stella Burden. All right, there you go, that's the name. Okay, so hopefully most of you have gotten your names in by now. You can put your phones away. You won't need them again. Thank you, Elijah, and thank you for that beautiful musical accompaniment.
You're welcome.
So Stella Burden is the woman to whom this show is dedicated. Miss Burden was an acting teacher of the 20th century American theater who inspired intense loyalty in her students, and then one day walked out on them and emigrated to South America, never to be heard from again. But her students carried on her traditions long after she disappeared, completing the company's 9-year-long rehearsal process in order to present one final public performance.
The show the Stella Burden Company was working on was Tennessee Williams's A Streetcar Named Desire, but not as you probably know it. The company performed the show without the main characters of Stanley, Stella, Mitch, or Blanche.
That's the performance we were working on before we all went into isolation. We were going to present Streetcar in its entirety, performing every line, every action, every stage direction that does not involve one of the main characters.
We'd gotten halfway through our rehearsals by spring break, and then instead of going back to campus, we all ended up here in our individual bedrooms and living rooms, much like all of you.
So we see it this way. Our research is no longer them, it's us. What does it mean to be a theater artist or an audience when you can no longer gather together in process or performance? continuing to rehearse and make this show is us trying to find an answer. Tonight, by inviting you into our experiment, we will attempt to complete the loop that was formerly known as theater.
In order to help with this task, we'll be relying on some artifacts which used to belong to Miss Burden, and which we have here with us.
We have an unopened letter, written by Stella herself, written to one of her students, and kept in this locked box.
We have a handmade puppet of a tiger that was made by one of her students that Stella considered to be a good luck charm.
We each have our plants, which represented to Stella the value of isolation.
And we have Stella's gun, which was loaded when we found it. And we're not going to tell you how it is now.
Along the way, we'll be reimagining the company's rehearsals, recreating interviews, and performing our own experience with the Stella Burden actor training technique called the approach. In fact, we've completed one just now. At the beginning of a new rehearsal process, Stella Burden made it a ritual to ask her company to imagine their most important teacher, including her if she was it for them, and then write down that name. And she collected the names in this bowl. Then, after the first performance, she would burn the names as a way of honoring and destroying the lessons they had learned.
Okay, so now we're going to change into our costumes for our Stella Burden Company characters and start with another exercise used by the Stella Burden Company of actors called crying practice. Is everyone ready? 2 minutes, begin. Okay, crying practice is over.
Elizabeth, this is ridiculous.
I
waste of
This
time.
is like the fifth time we've stopped
Elizabeth,
today. We need to keep moving. We need to figure out what we're doing
You're gonna
here.
get anything done if you keep
Ridiculous.
running.
Do we have to keep talking about
I'm
this?
sorry.
Stella's gonna
I'm
come back.
sorry.
Because of your damn ego.
Important. I think we're starting to stray from the approach.
Can we just do the scene or not do the scene? Because I am not going to do this again.
Hey!
If Stella were here with us right now, how would you want her to see us acting? Like you? Like all of you?
Will you please stop talking? Do you notice how much I don't talk? I don't talk all the time. But you just watch the difference between me and you.
You talk a lot about not talking.
Only not so highbrow.
Okay, should I be recording this?
I have a rash. Can you see that there?
Nobody
It's a
cares.
rash.
That is totally inappropriate and
Please allow a couple of your rougher angels to rip a hole in heaven and you use it to shit Tennessee Williams' ghost directly into our presence as we perform a story of the streetcar named Desire without the characters Stanley, Stella, Mitch, or Blanche. Help us to be emotionally honest, at least in little bursts, for as long as we can handle it. Please guide us as we try to find our way without Stella. Amen.
Okay. Now let's do it right this time. And you get you a poor boy sandwich because there ain't nothing here.
Hey, what was that? What was that package you threw at her?
Oh, you hush now.
Catch what?
What's the matter, honey? You lost? Well, that's where you are now. This here's Elysian Fields. What number are you looking for? You don't have to look no further. That's the party. You just did miss her though. Oh, she's got the downstairs and I got the up. You notice that bowling alley around the corner? That's where she's at, watching her husband bowl. You wanna leave your suitcase here and go find her?
I'll go tell her you come. You're welcome.
She wasn't expecting you? Well, why don't you just go in and make yourself at home till they get back? Oh, we own the place. I could let you in. It's a little messed up right now, but when it's clean, it's real sweet. Uh-huh. I think so. So you're Stella's sister. Oh, por nada, as the Mexicans say. Por nada. Stella spoke of you. I think she said you taught school. And you're from Mississippi, huh? She showed me a picture of your home place, the plantation. Great big place with white columns. Place like that must be awful hard to keep up. Well, sure, honey. Why don't you sit down? Oh, in that case, I'll make myself scarce. No, I'll drop by the bowling alley and hustle her up.
Okay. Stella Burden handpicked each one of her company members, all the people that we're portraying for you today. And when she picked them, she gave them each a small plant.
She said they had to nurture that plant the same way she was nurturing them. What nurturing meant to Stella continues to be unclear to us, especially given the way she chose her company members. Through a series of bizarre interviews and auditions like this.
My name is Carl Rayholt, and I will be performing a monologue of self-composition. I am dirt. I am nothing but mud and sticks. I need you to make me, Stella. Make me into an actor. I want to be a great actor. I thought I would be fantastic by now. But I would hear more applause if I isolated for this long by now. Not free applause, cheap applause, but sweat applause, hard work applause. I'm looking for a new way. I'm not just talking about my character. I'm asking, how does one become oneself? That's what I'm hoping you can do for me, Stella Burden. That's what I'm hoping you can do for me, the Method Gun. I know one thing. If you say, go there, I swear, I will go all the way there. Where do you mean out there? Go there? Or go there. Oh, there. In here. Thank you.
What's a beer?
Me.
Oh, yes.
Sally, Ruth? There we go. Okay.
Hey, what about a beer for me?
Oh, sorry. Carl, cooking to life.
Can I get one? Thank you.
Oh.
Coco?
All right. So who has my notes on the guy's streetcar scene?
Nothing new happened.
Yeah. Nothing new happened. Nothing happened at all. It's the same as it was before.
So I guess the question is, are we trying to find new stuff, or are we trying to make what we have perfect?
Oh, stop it.
Well, I think we want to make it perfect.
Well, I think new.
I think perfect.
There is no such thing as perfect.
I don't believe that.
Dad, are you recording this?
Of course I'm recording it. We have to start rehearsing harder. We have to start believing what we do. We have to watch out for one another and trust that someone's watching out for you. That way we don't have to watch out for ourselves, which you can never really do anyway. We have to start assuming what we believe we want has already happened in the future. But God, no, I agree with what I think you're saying. I wish Stella were back already. Amen.
Will you stop praying?
What do you care?
I'm an atheist.
Oh, what you are is a fucking mystery to me, and I do hope it stays that way forever. And if I do start to understand you, I would rather a plane crash through the ceiling and land on my face.
But I do think I'm panicking. I think I'm panicking. I think I'm having a panic attack. What should I do?
Maybe we should ask the tiger?
Carl.
Let me hold you for a second. Elizabeth, come on. Just for a second. Let me hold you.
Is this a good idea?
We're in the rehearsal space together. I'm walking over to you, arms open.
I'm watching you walk over to me.
I put my arms around you.
Uh-huh.
Doesn't this feel good?
Uh-huh.
We breathe deeply together.
Uh-huh.
I'm leaving you now. We are both balanced and better. Don't you feel balanced and better? I walk away.
And now I start crossing the rehearsal space over to Elizabeth. Arms open. I put one of them on your shoulder.
Oh, God.
And I... Oh. No. Oh, sorry. So is it hot outside?
It's the same as it always is. What?
Sure, that's how he got it. He hit the old Weatherbird for $300 on a 6-number ticket. Hey, are we playing poker tomorrow?
Break it up down there. I made a spaghetti dish and ate it all myself.
I told you and phoned you we was playing. Hey, Jack's beer.
You never phoned me once.
I told you at breakfast and phoned you at lunch.
Well, never you mind that. You just get yourself home here once in a while. While.
You want it in the papers?
God, I hate the sound of my own voice.
The work we had been doing with Miss Burns' approach took on new meaning with everyone stranded at home. Something that naturally became interesting to us was what effect isolation would have on our company as people. How can we possibly connect to each other when we're apart? How do we experience intimacy, physical or emotional, when there's so much distance between us? And our mode of communication is, well, flat. This is particularly evident in training techniques such as this one called kissing practice.
Very passionate. Somewhat passionate. wildly passionate.
Okay. Good job, everyone. Kissing practice is over.
Now, this next scene is complete bullshit. It's not based off of an interview or a recreation. We just wrote it from our own imaginations. But we decided to keep this scene in the play because when we showed it to Connie Torrey, the character that I play, she said it was, quote, so true.
Hello, everyone. I am on the phone with Connie Torrey, a member of the Stella Burden Theater Company who is currently self-isolating in an undisclosed location as part of Miss Burden's experimental theater techniques. Connie, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good, Conrad. Thank you.
We'd love to hear about the self-isolation practice Stella Burden taught.
Well, Conrad, we are shattering the illusion of theater and bodily co-presence by finding our inner audience and performer multitudes. We learn to project into an open void and know that it will echo back.
I see. And does the company miss?
You know, Conrad, on TV, you can only choose what to show. But the beautiful truth of the theater is that despite the deceit and suspension of disbelief, you can't negate the fact that it's happening in front of you. You could be wanking off behind your desk right now, and your audience probably wouldn't know.
How about we talk about those rehearsals of a streetcar
But if someone were wanking on stage in front of an audience, you'd see it. It's what makes us honest.
Connie, I don't think our
Yes,
viewers...
of course we miss her. She gave us ourselves.
You don't think she's coming back?
She left her gun.
And by that she meant...
The acting approach Stella teaches isn't a way of getting to something. It's a way of deserving what you get. Her absence is the only assurance she ever existed.
Huh. So, that's why she left the theater.
She only left the country. The theater is bigger than that.
Red hot! Red hot! Red hot! Red hot!
Actors are freaks, you know? You spend all your time with a bunch of actors, and before you know it, you're a freak yourself. You can't avoid it. I got a tattoo. See? Yeah, it looks stupid, doesn't it? That's it. I'm getting to be a freak too. I'm not a complete idiot yet. I can still use my head, but my heart, I don't have passion for anything anymore. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I don't love anybody. It's not right. I do love you, Stella Burden. I took time off in November to teach that fight choreography workshop in Cleveland with a bunch of college kids. Now they're passionate. So many signed up, I had to do 2 sessions, 4 hours each. It was very successful, but I just couldn't get the spirit of the thing. Hour after hour, showing kids how to fake a fight. Finally, after 8 hours, I was locking up the classroom behind me, and this one last little freak scared the shit out of me, asking me a question about how he should disengage. I said, "Show me." And his lunge was so earnest that he stepped on my toe. And then I was filled with passion. It wasn't rage, but it was gratitude for being touched, for actually being impacted by another person's body. I mean, we're supposed to be paving the way for a new generation of artists. You think in 100 years, artists are going to admire us for trying to keep on Stella's legacy? They won't. Anything wild this deal?
Jacks are wild.
Give me 2 cards.
You, Mitch? 1. Why don't somebody go to the Chinaman to bring back a load of chop suey, huh?
Give me 3.
What do you got?
Spade flush. Hey, 7 card stud. This old farmer is sitting in the back of his house, throwing corn to the chicken. When, all at once, he hears a loud cackle, and this young hen comes a lickety-split around the side of the house with the rooster on her tail and gator on her back. But when the rooster catches sight of the farmer throwing the corn, he puts the brakes on, lets the hen get away, and starts pecking the corn. And the old farmer says, "Lord God, I hope I never gets that hungry." Hey, Stanley, let the girls have their music.
Sure, that's good. Leave it on.
Yeah, it sounds like Xavier Cugat. I didn't hear you name it.
Did not name it, Mitch. What were you doing then? Sure, he's got ants now. Selling $5 bills in his pants pocket, pulled up tight as spitball.
Tomorrow you'll see him rolling up to the cashier's window trying to get him changed into quarters.
I think coffee would do him a world of good now.
Let's get him under the shower.
Quit that howling out there and go back to bed.
Let's get quick out of here.
She ain't coming down, so you quit, or you'll get the law on you. You can't beat on a woman and then call her back. She won't come. And her gonna have a baby, you stinker. You whelp of a Polak, you. I hope they do haul you in and turn the fire hose on you, same as the last time.
All right. What's amazing to us is that the self-isolation the Stella Burden Company practiced is all mirrored by the isolation we're doing now in our own homes. However, they practiced it regularly and by choice. You've heard several company members refer to it. Stella saw isolation as a means of intensifying the human experience. And even after Stella abandoned them, the members of the company continued the practice, challenging themselves to longer and longer periods of self-isolation, with the plants she gave them as their only companion. This led to new training practices such as this one.
Plants ready, everyone?
Robert's not really in the right position.
Come
Sorry.
on, Robert. Okay, and 1 minute, go.
Okay.
All right, buddy, here you go.
As we talk,
Shake
right?
it off last time.
Ready?
Okay,
Come on.
we got
Oh, but you're gonna have to do this, Andrew.
Strong, you're able, you got this. Ready?
So that way you can
practice.
focus
Up over there,
Okay,
yeah,
you
good.
this time,
Head
actually.
stuck, get out of the way.
Yes.
Steady through it.
Fiddle all the
Good,
way.
nice,
And
nice.
you're
Fiddle
up
all
on the
the way.
tree. You're up here, you're
Good.
going.
Yeah,
So well, so
exactly
far,
like
buddy.
that. Hold on to the And plant.
You're almost
Well, you
under-
gotta listen to me, all right?
There, bounce. Yep,
Yes,
good.
all right,
I'm
good
gonna
job.
listen.
Beat
I'm
Andrew
not gonna
today. Come on.
talk.
We're gonna beat Andrew, okay? Yeah.
Grab it.
Andrew.
Okay, good.
I don't know why you can't do
Strong,
this.
watch out.
You've done this so
For
many
the
times.
monkey!
I don't wanna
The
do that
monkey!
anymore.
Chop him!
Okay,
Yes!
good job.
Yes!
I got you,
Now this is the last jump,
And
right?
heading up.
Do it yourself.
One more.
I don't think so. So you need me.
Watch out for
good
the
job.
centipede.
You got it.
On to that.
Now just
Chop them,
regular
chop them,
Okay.
yes!
Oh,
So strong.
No, I think you should go for the legal
Sure.
class.
you can do it. You have that body
Talk
strength.
about this.
Oh,
Please.
Mind strength.
Just let me. Okay.
Your left,
You can
not.
do it.
You're so close at the tip.
Yeah, okay.
Up and yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
High five.
All right. Yes, found it.
And stop. Okay, so how'd we do?
I made it to the top this time. I
Hey.
didn't make it.
Oh, Andrew?
Wait, so it does matter if you get to the top.
I think we need to think about what matters means. What matters means to Stella and what it means to us.
What actually happens matters. Okay, if you fall off the tree, then you're dead. Those are the stakes, and that's what matters. That's what Stella said.
You've changed.
Yeah, because I'm alive. You know, I'm fucking growing. I know you liked me better when I was an acorn. Oh, yeah, but I'm an oak tree. Yeah, I'm an oak tree. Oh,
You act like a fucking oak tree.
what does that mean?
You said it. How should I know?
Well, if I do, it's because you all did it to me.
Hey, don't blame the company. Every second of your life, every inch, that's you choosing.
I can't wait till we finish this play and I can be done with you.
I just want to point out that I'm not talking.
Okay. No. Great. So we know how Stella would have wanted us to do it. We don't have to argue about that. We all know. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's best if we just call it a night.
Does anyone have an objection to wrapping up?
I have an
today?
objection.
Is it a significant objection?
I guess not, Mel.
Okay.
Okay. We all remember how to put away the trees the way Stella taught, right? We all have our trees. Ready?
Great. Same time tomorrow.
Yep.
Hi, everybody. Hello. Hello. I am a tiger. Do we have a John here tonight? Is there a Elizabeth logged on, or a Liz, or a Beth? Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, John. I want to be personal to each one of you. I am the only tiger in this play. I arrive to deliver a serious, dramaturgical list of all the things in the world that a play would be better if it had at least one of. Okay? Numero uno. A tiger. And that's it. That's the end of the list. I think we can all agree that given a choice between Death of a Salesman and Death of a Salesman from a Tiger, that the second one just seems more exciting. But what in particular, you wonder, makes tigers so well suited for the modern drama? That's a good question, Elizabeth. I am glad you asked, John. Tigers are good for plays because of the simple fact that we are a symbol. It turns out tigers are both extremely dangerous and extremely beautiful. Tigers represent both life on this planet and death. So, I'm surprised there are not a lot more plays with tigers in them. I mean, let's have some different kinds of plays. Am I right? You know, Freud said, blah, 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 bullshit, fuck. I don't give a fuck what Freud said. This play has a tiger, and I am this play's tiger. Your tiger. For you. So if you have trouble for a scene or don't want to follow all the exposition stuff, just remember, any moment I could run through and eat the person you are most bored with, or the person you are most interested in, or the person who is walking down their very own stairs in their very own home right this minute. Be careful. Now, tiger, goodbye. Bongo!
Okay, I think we got it. All right. Hopefully everyone's here by now. All right. Sharing my screen. Okay. All right. So, fact. You can't do your best every day. That's something Stella understood. There was this one day, I was terrible on stage. Terrible. Maybe like today. No, let's make this a good day. I am trying, but effort isn't everything. At the last few weeks of rehearsal with the company, that there was a bad energy. Everybody was always fighting, but before she left, when we got that way, Stella used to say, "Forget it," and that would always hurt my feelings. But she only ever meant forget it for that night. We should have tried something else, something different. Like, for instance, right now, I want to dance. How many of you either work in an office of any kind or think you might work in an office one day? Guessing there's a lot of you. I guess there's not going to be a lot of farmers anymore. But you all know you can't just stop in the middle of and decide to do something else, something different. But we can. That's what Stella taught us. Or we can quit. We can go our separate ways whenever we want. Or go get cocktails. This dance is called "The Night Rehearsal Was Terrible." It felt like the play would never be good in 100 years. All our work is wasted. I feel stupid for even hoping I could make something good. I wish God would kill me by throwing me between a drunk driver's Chevy Nova and a baby who's going to grow up to be a real artist. Amen. Now dance. Everybody do it! It felt good. It felt great. Yeah. It felt like, yes! But it probably wouldn't have worked. They probably wouldn't have joined me. We would have just kept fighting. I don't think any of us ever learned a single thing Stella was trying to teach. That's probably why she left.
You're drunk, aren't you?
No.
Don't lie, I can tell. It wouldn't even matter if you knew your part, but you're always messing up.
Oh, I never messed up in a performance.
You hit Coco during the stoop scene.
Oh, don't you pin that on me.
You were drunk. I'm gonna tell the company. Tell the company. I'm gonna tell the company. heard about you and that blonde.
Oh, that's a damn lie.
You ain't pulling the wool over my eyes. I wouldn't mind if you'd stay down at the Four Deuces, but you're always going up.
Whoever seen me up?
Oh, I seen you chasing her round the balcony. I'm gonna call the Vice Squad.
Oh, don't you throw that at me!
You hit me. I'm gonna call the police. Okay, now just the choreography.
Yeah, sounds good. Good?
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
How do we used to do it before?
We get it almost every night. And when that moon gets so big and bright, it's a supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Everybody here is out of sight, but they don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things loose, they keep things alive. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight, dancing in the moonlight. Everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight.
I hate watching myself on video. I hate the way my voice sounds on Zoom. I hate the way Zoom turns my face pink. I hate my face. I hate the way my face looks when I laugh. I hate laughing on video. I like listening to music. You can hear a song 100 times in your own room, but on stage, it is completely transformed. I mean, if you take a woman from my hometown and put her on a stage 383 miles away and play her a song, if she listens closely, that song will be transformed into the most beautiful song in the entire world. And the woman will be transformed too. Her face will turn pink and her hands will fly around her body like wounded birds. I asked Stella once why it doesn't happen the other way. Why doesn't the woman grow perfect and live forever? And Stella wrote an explanation for me and put it in this locked box and gave me the key and said, whenever I wanted to know the answer, I should unlock the box and open it and take out the letter and light it on fire and read as much of it as I could before it burns out.
No, maybe that's why Stella left us, to like go to South America, to like really isolate and like go the final distance.
I didn't go any distance when I was in isolation.
You went the distance back and forth to the bathroom.
I would go whole days without even taking a breath.
I found meditation to be really helpful.
Hold on, Delilah. The breathing, the lack of breathing is compelling to me. I think we could use that. What was that sensation like? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it?
I was just so singularly focused on trying to be present and in the moment that I would just, I don't know.
Delilah, we'll make it a rasa. Everybody write breathing on a sticky note.
Got it.
Give me a second.
Okay. Rasas, everyone.
Come on.
And go.
Confrontational vulgarity.
Private time. Confrontational vulgarity.
I'm breathing now.
Good work, everyone.
Rasa Boxes is over.
We would like to take a moment to thank the Stella Burden Company. They meant so much to us, and it was a dream come true to meet them. And they were also generous with information about the approach and their lives, and even about how the company fell apart. Here's what Coco Bond, the character I play, said about it. The first time I walked into that rehearsal room, I did kind of feel like Blanche. Walking into the room and meeting all these freaks with no manners, always yelling at one another. And then for a while, I felt like Stanley. Everyone knowing more than me. It was like I was some kind of stupid bum. And then I started acting like Mitch. I would do whatever they wanted. Seriously. They heard me praying once and told me Stella couldn't stand any secrets. If I had something to say, I had to say it to the whole group. Which I did. It's just that I believe that what we were doing mattered. Not just to us, but to the whole world. And I would have kept going no matter what. So it turns out, of course, the perfect part for me would have been Stella. Oh, not Burden, I mean Stella Kowalski. Because I am the true believer. You know, Blanche is the one who goes crazy in that play, but Stella's the one who keeps coming back for more. We should have kept going. I'd do it again today, or start a new show. I want to. Just to stand next to everyone. Actually be in the same room.
I'm collecting for the Evening Star. Is the paper? Oh, no, ma'am. No, thank you. I can't drink on the job. That's all right. I'll drop by later. Sure. This doesn't always work. The 15 of 7, ma'am? Oh. No, ma'am. I stepped inside. Uh-huh. No, ma'am. Cherry. A cherry soda. Well, I better be going.
Flores. Flores. Flores para los muertos. Flores. Flores. Coronas. Coronas para los muertos. Coronas. Coronas para los muertos.
¿Flores para los muertos? ¿Flores?
¡Coronas!
Stella isn't coming back. Think about it, would you?
I would come back.
I disagree.
You don't know what he would do.
I'm not asking what he would do. I'm asking what he would do if he were Stella. It's different. We know what he would do. He's doing it. He's done it. Did you know he proposed to me once? Remember?
I remember.
It was the worst proposal ever.
I guess you could have said yes.
Oh, yeah, then you would have really been miserable.
In your mind, it was gonna be good, right?
So yeah, in my mind, I was gonna sweep you off your feet.
Well, you didn't. Didn't work. It's just another question somebody asked me that I had to say no to. I didn't want you to marry me, and I still don't. I think I would make the worst wife in the whole world. You're lucky I'm so smart.
You really are.
Can we talk about something else?
Sure.
What?
So, is it hot outside?
It's the same as it always is.
Oh.
This game is 7-card stud. This game is 7-card stud.
Such fine hair. Hush, honey, hush. You look wonderful, Blanche. Don't she look wonderful? I understand you're going on a trip. I'm green with envy. And what a pretty blue jacket. She's gonna walk out before they get here. Then wait until the game breaks up. That must be them. Excuse me while I see who's at the door.
How do you do?
Hello, Blanche. Now, Blanche. Ow, these fingernails need to be trimmed. Are you a doctor?
Not unless necessary. Miss Dubois? It won't be necessary. Let go.
This game is 7 card stud. Okay. Gather around, everybody. Click in. Let's go. Company meeting. No. The correct order. Click out.
Why?
It's gonna be quick.
Ruth,
Meeting.
you go first.
Yeah.
So, are we going to do the performance the way we had planned, the way we have to do it, or have some of us changed our minds about that?
What are you so pissed off about?
Why are you doing this?
What is she doing?
Because we can't get by on ticket sales and teaching.
Elizabeth, what are you talking about?
Okay. I am formally proposing that we cancel the show and sell whatever equipment we have, invest the principal in a no-load municipal bond fund.
Say that again.
I said we should invest the money in a no-load municipal
Not the bond fund. You said something else.
I propose we cancel the show.
So you're going to dissolve the company?
I didn't say dissolve the company.
Oh my God. I never understood a single thing until now. I was stupid. So I thought the company belonged to all of us. And because one stupid thought leads to another, I also thought the decision to dissolve it belonged to all of us!
Of course it does. It belongs to all of us.
I didn't say it didn't.
You want to cancel the show?
That is not your decision to make, Elizabeth.
But we need to sustain ourselves.
I feel sustained.
Money, Andrew, doing shows like this. I'm not pretending my little scheme is perfect or anything.
Why don't we just go get the gun and find a bad business that's still open right now and take all their money? Because I'm sure if we put as much time and energy into that as we do into this, we could do a really good job.
Who gets to hold the gun?
Why are you all so fucking stupid?
Hey, Stella saw potential in us, but we haven't done it. Our potential is just waiting for us. Our potential is waiting and wondering why the fuck we haven't shown up yet. When will we get there?
Can't anybody make her stop?
You shut up, Elizabeth! I want to have my say too!
Oh, you already had your say.
You all wrecked my life! I never lived! You're all old, but I'm young. Just barely. My best young years are totally cashed. There's a great big chunk of my life that's in total defeasance.
What's defeasance?
Holy shit. I've lost it. I'm totally nuts.
Let's just be honest.
Charlie?
Elizabeth is right. None of what we're doing has any impact at all. I mean, none of what we're doing will ever reach them, wherever they are. None of what we're doing even reaches ourselves. Every day, I leave rehearsal completely changed. Every day, I leave rehearsal entirely unchanged.
But it's up to you. You are the one who needs to work harder.
At least we see each other. At least rehearsal is a break from being in our own rooms and we can actually see each other.
What are you talking as right now?
Working harder won't change anything. We'll still be trapped in these little boxes. This isn't theater. It doesn't work.
Who are you talking as right now?
You shut up! All of you shut up!
God, rip the hole now! Reach down and choose me! Pick me up and carry me away!
Stop praying! Every time you pray, I pray the exact opposite silently to myself. I've been doing it this entire rehearsal process!
What the fuck is wrong with you? What are these fucking shooting at me?
Why won't she die? Am I missing? I'm holding the gun. I feel the weight of the gun. I'm pointing it at Elizabeth. I'm pulling the trigger. Oh, fuck me.
It's a prop gun, okay? It's fake.
I quit! That's what happens next! My name is Elizabeth Johns, and I quit! You know, it just gets to be too much. And this woman I play, Elizabeth Johns, she turns to her friends and she tells them, no more. No more. Not because of the fighting or because he pointed Stella's gun at me or because, of course, it's fake. But just everything. The beer. You never bring me a beer. And I don't want to hear about family anymore. And no one ever says good work anymore. And I hate you. We're not bringing honor to Stella's name. We're not. So after this one and only performance of this stupid and imagined, isolated version of Streetcar, she's done. She is leaving. And she is never coming back. This is bullshit. The approach is bullshit. Stella is bullshit. And everything we've done is nothing.
Okay. Here is where the final performance of Streetcar would have happened. We called it our dream ballet. We were planning to perform it on a raked platform, doing all of the Streetcar rehearsal choreography perfectly timed to dodge bowling balls that were released down the stage. A reference, of course, to all the bowling that happens in Streetcar. It was going to be a stunning series of perfect near misses, but we can't do it that way anymore.
As we've been making the Zoom production, we've been grieving the one left behind and unfinished. We mourn being in the room together, the feel of our favorite props and costumes, the rhythm of our blocking. We thought about just not doing this part, just cutting it from our show, but we realize it's at the heart of our experiment. And maybe by doing this, we are holding some space for every performance that was canceled by COVID. But this is our story, our process, our eulogy, our way of saying thank you and goodbye to something that was never finished, but always felt. Please understand this. The next part of the play is as much for us as it is for you. Everyone, let's click out and click into our dream ballet order.
Start the play. Blanche arrives.
Enter stage right. Look forward. Go.
Leaning, fan myself, laughing.
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 Cross stage. Near miss. Tuck in shirt with one hand. Turn. Eunice. Lock hands. Hand off beer.
Turn to Steve. Take beer.
Laughing.
Near miss. Exit.
Twirl into chair.
Piano chord.
Who's that?
Snap head to the left.
Snap head back front.
Near miss. And exit.
Walk stage right. Near miss.
Fan myself. Keep an eye on her.
Into the kitchen. Bend. Pick something up from the floor. Near miss. Lean forward. Pivot. Grab whiskey. Near miss. Legs swing up. Near miss. Look to the neighbor.
Nod. Go.
Off stage right. Near miss.
Exit off left.
Exit.
Steve and Pablo head back from bowling.
Coming back from bowling. Upstage.
Arm around Steve.
Arm around Pablo.
On my toes. Head down the stage.
Run down the rake.
High five, Steve. Nod.
Push off Pablo. Spiral stage right. Near miss 1, 2.
Turn. Near miss. Give Steve a hug.
Break away.
Walk away. Near miss. Exit.
Wander up right. Unsteady. Drunk.
Cross stage left. Near miss. Stand on the chair.
Put my hands on the table. Spread my legs. Near miss.
Change arms. Change arms. Step down. Exit.
Evening. Molly vendor.
Tamale vendor. Standing by. Tamale cart. Go. Walking. Near miss. Walking. Near miss. Walking. 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 Near miss. Arrive up left. Hands on cart. Walking. Walking. Near miss. Tamale cart down.
Poker scene. Pablo and Steve play poker.
Poker time, baby.
Shuffling, shuffling, shuffling.
Pour some shots.
Feel it out.
Loosen up.
Crack one open.
Ante up. Shots.
Shots.
Pablo.
Mitch.
Pablo.
Card. Cheers.
Drink. Raise him. Chip.
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 Fade. Flush.
Laughing. Laughing.
He's Mitch. Then boom.
Cards in the air. Salsa across the stage.
And spin.
And spin. Get thrown to the ground.
Roll down, near miss.
Slam him down on the chair.
Near miss.
Shower time.
Exit left.
Exit.
Steve and Eunice have a fight. Pursue Steve. Slam. Hands down on the table.
Up. Then sip. Place spear stage right. Near miss.
Hands up by my ears. Agitated and down.
Lean back. Not bothered. Brush off. Turn. Near miss.
Finger straight out.
Don't you.
Grab the shoe.
Near miss.
Throw it at Steve. Cheating bastard.
Slap her.
Nap with my hands. Oh my god.
Oh shit, I hurt her. Hands up in defense. Take a drink of beer.
I'm gonna call the police. Hands down and open.
Prepare for paperboy.
Near miss. Exit.
Paperboy. Step on stage. Near miss. Look at Blanche. She's beautiful. What? No, I can't drink. Walk back. Get turned around. Fumble or lighter. Near miss. Light. Imaginary cigarette. Walk back. Get turned around again. Look at watch. He wants to kiss me? Lean in to kiss imaginary Blanche. Graceful, be graceful. And done. Exit.
Flower seller. Flores disponibles para la venta. Near miss. Flores. Offer. Aquí hay una dama. Parece necesitar una flor. Down center. Offer flowers to an absent Blanche. Flores. Door slam. Force backward. No entiendo. Exit.
Eunice tries to get Blanche ready, while Stella falls apart and the guys play poker. Here we go. Cross to Blanche. Soft hair. Blanche, stay calm. Near miss. Shh, Blanche, it's okay. There's nothing to worry about. Lower her to the floor. Snap. Someone's at the door. Walk backwards upstage. The doctor and nurse. They're here. Lead them in. Near miss.
Follow Eunice.
Right foot first. Near miss.
Turn down stage and straddle line.
Pause to wait.
Look at poker table. Gentlemen,
Smile wide. Nothing wrong. No, Blanche, don't fight. Snap to stand.
Approach softly. Do I believe this woman?
look down at her.
Walk down to Blanche. Kneel. Hanging over her. Turn. These fingernails need to be trimmed.
Kneel. Look at Blanche. Look at nurse.
Look at doctor.
She's frail. Be gentle. Lift Blanche.
Take her weight.
Turn back.
Walk up.
Near miss.
Exit.
Dear God, it's done. Crying. 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 Crying.
Okay. I've got some bad news for you. Elizabeth Johns, I am your tiger. All your screaming and waving your hands, it attracted my attention, and now I've got you. You're going to have to come with me.
Where are we going?
I don't know, but you can't stay here. You're no longer a part of this.
Wait a minute, Tiger. I need to read the letter. I mean, she wrote it to me.
Are you sure you want to do that?
Elizabeth, we believe that we are nouns, things that other nouns, things happen to us. We reserve the verbs for the in-betweens without sentence or matter, but you do not need to do things to do another thing. You are doing, a doing of things. A doing of things is another doing of things. You see, you are always in the middle, in progress, and so is everything else. Our world is only interacting in relationships. He is only the in-between.
I offer you my arm.
I take it.
We start walking away. You gonna be all right?
Yes.
Where are you gonna go?
Yosemite.
You think we'll fit in there?
No.
I wonder. I wonder.
Okay, everyone. Two minutes. Go.
that a moon gets so big and bright, it's a supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight. Everybody here is out of sight, but they don't bark and they don't bite. They keep things loose, they keep things alive. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight, dancing in the moonlight. Everybody's feeling warm and bright. It's such a fine and natural sight. Everybody's dancing in the moonlight. We like our fun and we never fight. You can't dance and stay uptight. It's supernatural delight. Everybody was dancing in the moonlight.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much. That was Betsy on her telling everyone they did a good show. Cast. Oh my God, that was amazing. Hi, everybody. My name is Katie Pearl, and I'm the director of this production and a professor of theater at Wesleyan University. Thank you so much for coming. We're going to have a Q&A, actually, for those of you who want to stick around. You can get a drink, walk around, stretch. Actors, if you need to make yourselves comfortable in some way. Robin, hopefully you stay awake a little while longer for this. But if you type questions into the chat, Milton will actually send it over to us in Zoom and we can answer them. So while we're giving people a few seconds to do that, why don't you all actually put your names in your boxes and where you are right now? Because that's something people are always interested in hearing. And as we do that, I also want to invite in the entire rest of our team so we can just see your faces and thank you, the designers and the ADs and our tech team. So go ahead and click in if you can, if you're around. Okay. I'm gonna introduce you to and tell people what you did. So Mary Paul, if you could give us a wave. Mary Paul is sitting in her kitchen in Connecticut, and she's our production manager in the theater department, and she was working the live stream. So she was working with a platform called OBS, which means Open Broadcasting Software, something like that, to do all of the transitions and the placards. So if you're curious about that, Mary Paul can answer your questions. Betsy, why don't you give a wave, Betsy? Betsy is our extraordinary stage manager, so gifted, so calm. And so Betsy was actually using a conference call line to call the show to people all over the country. One of the people she was calling the show to is Nick Canton, our AD. So give a wave. Nick was one of our ADs and was really instrumental in keeping the rehearsals going in terms of running sound and leading devising sessions. Thank you, Nick. Our other AD is Will. Give a wave, Will. Will was a really deep collaborator of mine in terms of the choreography of the show, and a lot of the choreography you saw came from Will's smart, amazing, creative brain and body. And then we have Dylan. Give a wave, Dylan. Dylan is our composer, also a student at Wesleyan about to graduate. And Dylan composed all the piano music you heard, and then with me sourced and designed the rest of the pulled music. So who am I missing? Anybody? All right. Mary Paul's baby, who's our mascot. So here's a question. How much redevising was done when it was transitioning to Zoom? Did the company write the new text, which grounded us in this Zoom reality? So who wants to take a start at that question? Just raise your hand. Be brave. Elijah first.
Yeah, and then Esme can add.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we we went back and looked at a lot of the material when we started working over Zoom with a new eye, and actually created a lot of new material that we did write as a company through improvisations and then transcribing those in other ways. And then that all sort of got pared down in the 11th hour to a very concise, what you saw.
Great. Esme?
Yeah, I think in terms of redevising, the biggest thing was, just trying to test out like what sort of Zoom capabilities and what techie things we now had available, and which of those techniques apply to which pieces of the text. And like Elijah said, we spent a little time with the text trying to figure out how to alter the language, make it make sense for the Zoom platform, and we were sort of like writers rooming it a lot, just constantly pitching and trying to think and translate.
Great. Miguel?
Yeah, I also think what was really great about devising it after is that it wasn't just like, how do we make it, like we didn't do like the bare minimum of just making it like make sense on Zoom. We also like, for example, like everything about plant climbing was something that grew out of how do we get everybody to look like they're in the same space? We need a consistent object everyone can have. So one thing that we added is we had plants, and we wrote like a whole scene to address that. As Elijah said, we had a lot of like, that was really based a lot in transcribing, improvisations, and things like that. But yeah, we really, even though it started as like a necessity thing, we ended up having like going beyond that.
Yeah, and I'll just give a little quick big picture arc of how the show came to be. So the RUDE MECHS first did this production, oh my God, I don't even know how long ago, 10 years ago? Somebody can put it in the chat. They're a company from Austin, Texas. If you don't know about them, they devise work. And I also was a theater artist in Austin, Texas when they were making that show. So I've known it for a long time. And when I came to Wesleyan, I knew that students were really interested in devising, and I wanted to bring that into the department productions. So I asked the RUDE MECHS if we could do an experiment, which is take their show that nobody else has ever done before and put it on a new company and see if we started with the prompts that built the show for them, what would come out. And so before spring break, we were rehearsing the piece, and we had done one rewrite for this company. We actually added 5 characters so the cast could be bigger. And we came up with that bowling ball idea as our version of the Dream Ballet. And we had done our first stumble through, essentially, right before spring break. And so when we heard we couldn't come back, we can talk more about that. But essentially, the whole play got revised and redevised and rewritten again when we were like, okay, this is our reality now. So how are we going to lean into it? Okay, next question. Did you give and receive notes between yesterday's performance and today's? What were they about? What were you trying to adjust? Anyone?
We find the
Yeah, Leon, go ahead.
I'll go. So I was using a laptop, my own laptop for yesterday's performance. And then right after the first scene, my laptop screen went black because we had been rehearsing the poker scene, when we're turning around with our laptops, Max and I. And so that's how the laptop started malfunctioning. And then it was the first time it went blank, and it was during the performance. And then I sort of was able to adjust my screen for it to work the rest of the performance, but I couldn't move it up and down. It had to stay. So I had to adjust a lot of things. And then for today, I had to borrow my mom's laptop to do this. And yeah, so we met, the wonderful tech team and I met like a couple hours before this performance to go through all my positionings and my lighting and everything on this new laptop and just adapt it or, get myself used to it.
Awesome. It looked great, Leon. It worked great. Yeah. We did a little futzing with getting into the Dream Ballet to make it be a little bit more like we wanted, but then that actually didn't happen today because the order got out, and so people still had to click in and out. But we kept tweaking a little bit. You only get 2 shows, so you want to keep working on it. Can we Oh, did the actors feel the second performance was richer than last night's first performance? Fewer glitches, more flow. Was this an easier show for you guys?
Yeah.
Like 200%?
It was also the last one, so there's definitely a giving it my everything that I had left was in that show.
I felt much more secure, and also going back to the question about notes, there was some stuff that last night I was feeling kind of like unclear about, and so we got notes, and I had a lot of fun as a tiger today.
Yeah, the tiger was awesome tonight, Miguel. Can we talk a little bit about the technical aspects of putting on a live show via Zoom? How did the playbacks and the repeats work? So I will say that the repeats were not intended. That was, I don't know, Mary Paul, I don't know if you can speak to, that was just the streaming speed, I think, that was going with the live stream. And it kept jumping, but it was really cool, actually. It was, yeah. I think the playbacks mean the videos we played. So one cool thing about Zoom that I'm sure a lot of you already know is that you can do virtual backgrounds, and you can do them as photos, or there's Robin pointing at her green screen, or videos. So we made, what you guys want to show your green screens, like where you did all of the ballet.
Well, I'll go back.
You can go back.
Grab for a lamp.
Oh, so if you load up a video and push virtual backgrounds, it will play behind you. So when the actors turned around to watch their videos, they were actually looking at their blank green screen. But we felt like we were watching that with them. And computers never could play the videos. We're watching on their phones or their iPads, or Max had that big monitor. But the green screens are an example of one of the things that we had to do was mail each actor a box of stuff so that we could try to make this work. And one of the things they got mailed was green fabric. Miguel got mailed his tiger costume. Everyone got mailed elements of their costume.
Box. I'll bring the box.
Okay. We sent them flowers to do the flower cellar. Our scenic designer, Andrew, I don't know if you're here, Andrew, but if you are, Andrew Holland, a big shout out to moving what would have been a huge set design to like foldable paper objects that he could send a PDF of, and all the actors printed them out and made the tamale carts themselves. And then Andrew also did the placards. Oh yeah, he helped Esme make playing cards. Will we be showing this again? We have no plans to do this live again, but we will be able to keep this show streaming on YouTube for, I'm not quite sure how long, but hopefully a while. And if it's not there, we're going to make it live on the website, the Method Gun website where you entered the live stream. What was the conversation around not having swinging lights like initially? Some of it was in the piece marvelously, but how did you work out the aesthetic choices that gave similar impact? So for those of you who don't know the original piece, when the RUDE MECHS did it, their final dream ballet was lights on the end of 10 or 12 foot poles that released from the ceiling right at the beginning of the dream ballet and started swinging like this all over the stage. And so all the choreography for their streetcar scenes was designed to have near misses of those lights. So I knew when I wanted to do the show that we couldn't do that, in part because we just couldn't make that technology happen in the time frame we had here at Wesleyan, and also it was a little dangerous, I think, for this educational situation. And if we had done the swinging lights, it would have meant that all of our streetcar choreography and staging had to be exactly what theirs was. So we would have just been learning it by rote and imitating it. So I knew I didn't want to do that. So when we started the devising process, I had one idea in my head, which was bowling balls. And I brought that into the room with this company, and we started just doing experiments with like, what can you do with a bowling ball? What does that mean? What does that look like? And that built a lot of our choreography. And then when we couldn't do that in Zoom, I don't know when exactly we came up with the idea of like the void and just narrating, but it became really clear that we couldn't do anything cool enough like that. So we had to pull it back. And as we realized, one of Stella Burden's training techniques in isolation had to be about like your only experience can be what you imagine, because that's all you have. We thought, well, what if the actors just imagine their way through the final performance and invite the audience to do that with us? Once we were in our black voids, then the graphicness of the situation started to become really interesting, and we went from there. With acting to a screen, how do you find vulnerability and trust? And I'm curious to know if the company feels like, oh, it should be viewed without being performed live. Do you want people to stream the recording? So let's have somebody speak to how did it feel? How do you find vulnerability and trust when you're acting on Zoom? Maybe somebody we haven't heard from yet. Max.
I know for me, that was a really big challenge with the adjustment. But I think a lot of the work that I was really trying to do was find, like, really thinking about the camera as a person, as being seen, and really directing to the camera all of your energy and your actions and your thoughts. The monologue that I have in the middle, I really struggled with for a while, because it was like, no one's giving me anything, but it really just, the moments of just kind of channeling that frustration straight in and really talking to people and feeling like you were talking to people this way and knowing that people on the other side were listening kind of helped me get through it.
Louisa?
Yeah, to that effect of like looking into the camera and like having that lack of connection, we had several conversations in the beginning of our Zoom rehearsals. One of our conversations was about digital intimacy, and what we brought up was that you can never really make eye contact with other people. You're either looking into the camera to like address the people, or you're looking down at the other viewers and participants in the chat. So that was definitely something, at least I had to adjust to a lot. But once we kind of got the hang of playing with those different aspects of technology, it became something more fun since we were aware of it.
Liz?
I think it's also notable that this, from the beginning, was a process that was immensely full of trust between all of these people. That was sort of a prerequisite for the success of this production. And so we were all working from an immense place of enormous community and willingness to say yes and to go for it. So we were able to, at least I was personally able to kind of hearken back to my like physical body memory of what vulnerability and trust was among all of you, and what acting among all of you was. And that certainly informed the performances or rehearsals that we did on the internet.
One in the culminating Stella Burden scene, the character of Charlie, who Elijah plays, has an outburst about. Well, Elijah, do you want to talk about that moment in our rehearsal process when you were like, I can't?
Yeah. So for the first like 2-ish weeks, what we were doing in our rehearsals was really having these sort of big picture conversations about how do we translate this? Do we translate this? Can collaborative art exist over this platform? And I personally, and I think like many of my other company members, was really struggling with that and really grieving the loss of art in live production. And we had a conversation one day about like, well, why do you keep working on this? What, as Katie put it, what is your why for continuing to work? And I said, in the moment I said I couldn't find that why in myself. And I think I basically said what is in the script, although much less
emphatically,
yeah. But that conversation was also, I think, a turning point in many ways for us as a company. It's what really brought the core of the text into the idea that like it's about proving that this can happen, whether it's for us over Zoom or for the Stella Burden Company in isolation. Is their success valid is a little bit trickier of a question, but
How do you guys feel about people watching the streamed version and not live version?
I really recommend it to my friends to watch it.
Yeah.
live. This is theater.
To watch it live. So for you, if it's streamed, it's not really what it is if it's recorded.
Yeah, it's like a finished product. You're
Uh-huh.
not seeing it in the moment it's being created.
It's a record of what happened.
Yeah.
Esme, what do you think?
Yes, I implore you all to send the recorded link to anyone who wasn't able to make this performance. I said this a little bit yesterday, but one of the things I'm really hoping will come out of the fact that we were able to do this is that, you know, like theater makers kind of realize like we can make space for accessible art this way that doesn't require people to show up to a theater or to travel to a different city. So watch the recording, improving a point.
We did get that question a lot of what is the advantage of having the show moved here, and I think we all feel like incredibly grateful that so many people who are so important to us who never would have been able to travel to Middletown, Connecticut to see this show are able to see it. So that's great. Hey, my screen was small and I didn't realize that Calvin Anderson, our lighting designer, is here, and Izzy and Milton are here. They are our ASMs. So Izzy, give a wave. Izzy was the person every time you saw a placard, that was Izzy doing that. And Milton was taking care of you on the chat. And Calvin, I think there's a question just about how did you switch lighting design to individual homes?
It was only half me and half everybody else, all of the actors in their own rooms. And we really worked with what they had. So, you know, last night's show was an 8 p.m. show, which meant that for all of the folks on the Eastern Seaboard, it was dark out. And today's a 2 p.m. show. So it's, you know, completely different show yesterday to today. But we also then, you know, were using the lamps that folks had in their homes, and whenever they had a camera move, they would also then probably track a lamp near to where the camera was. And so it was really fully collaborative around, you know, making the space and making the lighting look good for each individual moment.
Our tech process began with Andrew, our scenic designer, and Calvin and I having one-on-one appointments essentially with each cast member in their home, where we kind of looked at all the lighting options they had, all the different setups. Andrew would sort of give advice about how much they did or did not have to clean up their rooms. So yeah, it's definitely worth saying that this acting ensemble was way more than an acting ensemble. They were their own costume designer caretakers. They built their scenic, they did their lighting, they were handling all of their cueing themselves. And Mary Paul is expecting them all at strike in a couple hours. Max.
Yeah, just on that, like every transition was us frantically moving everything from one space to another. Our rooms, I think, are all covered in spike tape.
Go ahead, you all can give people a see that. Let us see your backstages.
Okay.
Okay. This was a little setup so that during all of the dream ballet, I had a little drawer where I kept my props and stuff that I was trying very hard to quietly open and close.
I personally think I'm going to keep the spike tape that's on my bed frame that says kiss, plant, rasa, and paper/flower seller, and lamp for all the times.
Post-it notes everywhere.
Yeah.
I have 3 different chairs in this show. So I have the stool, the gray chair, and then the wooden chair, and I'm constantly moving between them.
Great.
Also, this is a mirror that I had hidden all the time, but I was using that for all of my costume, hair, and makeup changes because I have a few ponytail swaps.
Some lipstick applications. Nice. Okay. How can you get on a list to watch the archive? I don't know the answer to that. Mary Paul, how do people see the archived stream if it's on YouTube? You're on mute.
Yes, sorry, I have two separate things I have to turn on so folks can actually hear me this time. The videos will be available on our Wesleyan Theater YouTube channel for at least a week, possibly longer. We haven't really decided since then. And then we're hoping to put them either on the web. We haven't quite figured out whether we want to put them on the site or on our department site or what from there. But it will definitely live on our YouTube channel for a while, and then if and when we move it somewhere else, we can alert the channel. So you should totally subscribe and add it to your favorite theater playlists.
And say the name of the channel again?
Sure. The channel is Wesleyan Theater, the Wesleyan University Theater Department, and we are also on Facebook, the theater at Wesleyan Theater, and we will alert folks at either place as the archive gets moved around.
Great. Betsy's grandparents want to know how much of the performance is improvised.
They actually mean devised.
Oh, devised.
Yeah, they were confused.
Got it. Created, made up, and not just scripted. What would you say the final ratio is of like the script that Kirk originally wrote and the RUDE MECHS originally did that we started with? I mean, I feel like we actually hit an 80-20 where it's 80% new in a way, and maybe 70-30.
Yeah. We should find out.
The
Like,
Zoom moving to Zoom pushed it way more away from the original script for sure.
Yeah.
But also new is relative because like we were working with characters that had been written before the general shape of the entire piece. So
Absolutely. Yeah. The arc and the basic spine is fully present from when it was originally made. Okay, this is a complicated question. There are a few texts here. There's the text of Williams's Streetcar, the text of the original method gun, the text of the method gun you were rehearsing in Middletown, the text of this Zoom method gun, haunted by COVID. Can you talk about all of these layers and how they interact and make meaning? Somebody else also asked, what were our conversations about Streetcar about, and how did you sort of hold its canonical status and what it means within method gun and to you as actors? So I guess those are two separate questions. Yeah, Leon, go ahead. You're muted.
Well, I'm thinking about the first question and all the texts that were there. And I think what we were talking about was how to sort of make known that we have all these texts there. And then sort of when the audience is familiar with them, we can start to mix them up and sort of the 80-20 that we were talking about, not really being sure which world we're in or how the worlds overlap, because this company was so invested in Stella and what they were doing. So we were trying to sort of mimic that in that, now we're in a rehearsal scene with the company, and now we're ourselves, and now we are in front of our green screens and we're doing Stella Burden, and then some of the lines could apply to both our characters and ourselves.
Last night, Leon, you mentioned the word absence, and I do think that was a cornerstone that we were able to revolve around. So in the original method gun, the kind of prompt is, well, how do you do the show without the main characters? You're dealing with absence all the time. And then in the method gun text, the company is dealing with absence because their guru left them. And then now when we moved into isolation, what is most present for all of us is the absence of each other. So that started to really layer and sift through all of them. Does anyone want to talk about like how Streetcar came into our rehearsals as a company? Yeah, Max.
Well, one thing that Katie let us do when we first started working on Streetcar back at Wesleyan is we started with actually devising around each streetcar scene, and we split up into different groups we first read through the whole play of Streetcar by as a company, but then we split up into different groups and explored, all right, well, how could this scene possibly look involving absence without these main characters, and the different ways that we abstract that absence, that we use different bodies in cool ways. And then we brought all those and presented them to each other. And then Katie kind of took the best bits of all of it out and, really perfected it into something. And then once we were on Zoom, we then took that version, mixed it up again, and kind of brought it back. It was a really cool collaborative process. Like, all of us have a piece in this show, which I think makes it, so amazing to put up.
Like every devised ensemble, these actors it's wrong to refer to them as actors, actually, because each one of them is a full collaborator in the creation of the piece. Everybody participated in writing, everybody participated in conceiving, everyone participated in thinking really deeply about what we are trying to say and how we might say it. And I would just say that that Streetcar itself as a play that exists held a complicated place in our ensemble and our rehearsal process. There's a lot of, in the original production, there was a scene called Plot Summary, where the cast tells you scene by scene what happens in the play, in case you're not familiar with it. And so we actually ended up putting that on our website, because when we moved to Zoom, the play got so much longer, we had to cut a lot. But we had already decided to preface that scene with a statement as an ensemble that acknowledged the complexity of our feelings about it, and that even though it's such an incredible play, it's also rife with misogyny and racial slurs, and it to not acknowledge that as a company felt like we were kind of, I don't know, cleaning up, rewriting history. So that was how we were dealing with it when we were in the room. And then when we got to Zoom, we kept it in for a long time. And then we just were like, we had to winnow things down, because the play couldn't go to as many places as it does live, because the audience experience just got too confusing. Does anyone want to add to that? Does that feel like a good representation? Esme?
Yeah, I would just add that, one of the things I always kind of found a little satisfying about Method Gun as a play, because I personally have a lot of issues with Streetcar Named Desire as, a work of drama, and also as a work of drama that is still so held onto so tightly in the American theater canon and in what societally Americans consider, great works of art. And I think that there's something that's been always kind of fun about the fact that we just get to rip it apart a little bit. We rip out the main characters, we put all of these focus on the side characters, most of them actually, when you start to look at it, are people of color who were not only marginalized but also ridiculed and depicted very poorly in the play originally. And I think that there's something both weirdly that's a lot of responsibility, and also is that what you should be doing? But it's also this reclamation of a piece of art that has kept so many people out of theater, in my opinion.
Thanks, Esme. What have your experiences been transitioning between Zoom reality and the semi-real reality that you and we are all living in now? I think that means spending so much time on rehearsal, but then when you leave Zoom, what reality are you in? Can you just talk about how you've been holding all this?
A lot of ocular strain.
Yeah, headaches, right? Yeah.
Barely together.
I think it's crazy to have so many different parts of your life in one space. Right before the show started, I looked out my window and I saw my neighbor's kids playing outside. And I'm I would never see that 2 minutes before curtain in a theater. And then I get done with the show. Last night, my mom came up into my attic while this live stream was still going on. And everything is just so meshed together. And I think that's true for so many people right now. But it's especially interesting when you're doing theater, which is normally in such a specific sacred place, and now we're in our attics and bedrooms, and it's so different.
Do you all feel like you are making theater history, is the question? Penelope says no.
Yeah.
Miguel says yes.
I really, yeah.
I do think that the way that we are using this platform has been unique in terms of the digital performance that I have watched. And so I don't know if I would go that far, but I do think that we've had the luxury of working with a text that we could manipulate and that oddly translated really well to this format. And we had Katie, who's awesome and very good at this, and an incredible ensemble of people. So we had, a lot of gifts to work with, and that gave us the ability to do a lot of things that are new and different. And I'm excited to see if other people start taking them up, maybe if we've started the Zoom hacks.
My feeling is that we're part of a moment
Yeah,
and
yeah.
contributing to a moment. A friend of mine likened it last night to the moment when silent films started to become talking films. And everyone was like, oh my, what is this new technology? How do we work with this? And I feel like even in the past few weeks, all these theater artists have been figuring out how to make Zoom work. And I think new software is going to be developed. I think all sorts of new strategies are constantly coming in. And another question is, what was the biggest challenge moving to Zoom for me and also for all of you? And I would say like none of us wanted to do it when we started. It was all grief. And for me, a lot of resentment of like, I am a theater director. I want to be in the room with people. I want to be able to contact bodies. I'm not interested in doing this at all. But now at this point, when we're right on the other side of it, I think it's become a medium that has held us together. It's become a medium that has allowed us to experience life together and individually. And I think aesthetically, we're all kind of astonished at what we came up with and how we learned to manipulate and make this work. And so, yeah, Louisa.
I want to say that I remember the day when we all came into that room together to discuss / had some people who had already gone home on Zoom to discuss what our next steps were once school was canceled. And from my perspective, Katie, it seemed like you just said yes to everything, every idea that we threw out there, every concern. I felt like you just were like taking all of it in, and that was such a comforting thing to have in that moment. So although internally it sounds like it felt different for you, for me personally, I felt like you were like ready to keep going, and that really encouraged me. So
yeah, that's good. I'm glad it came off that way. That was my intention.
I'm feeling so just inspired. So last night I was thinking, because I said something in the Q&A like yeah, I'd be very reluctant to do like another Zoom performance. The story has to be right. And then I was realizing if I want to do this again, especially if the pandemic keeps going on longer, and if there's another one in our life, which I think there will be, but that's another story. I want to be able to have more stories that are well told over Zoom, and that we should start creating them. We should start getting ready. So yeah, I just want to create stuff in this new form. I don't know. I feel very explorational right now. I don't know what the right word is, but
What was the biggest challenge for you all moving to Zoom, Penelope?
I've said it before and I'll say it again, that it's really lonely. That's, usually, your cast members, your crew members, like that is your crew. Like those are your people, just always. And, even after the show is over, but you don't really get any of that. Even if we're talking in a group chat, or if we're on a Zoom after rehearsal, you still, especially the physical contact, that was so important for us building the foundation of this show of, just experimenting on what we feel like. And we lost all of that when we had to go home. And yeah, so like during rehearsal or even after the show, you know, we all click off and then you're just like alone again. And it's like a little sad, but it's also, I mean, if that's the price I have to pay to make art that people take in and like, then I'm more than willing to do that 1,000 times.
Elijah, you had your hand up.
Yeah, also in this weird way that I'm still figuring out how to articulate, like when you're performing live, the space that people are seeing is what you're moving through and sculpting with like our bodies and our words. And so it's our awareness is an awareness of that space. And here, the space that the audience sees is the Zoom screen, and we don't see it in the same order that is seen through the live stream. None of us are seeing it in the same order that everyone else is seeing it in because of the Zoom whatever pattern that people show up on the screen. And so there's this, you're sort of torn between trying to preserve that sense of like I'm a performer using my body in this space that is my room that only I'm in, like Penelope said, but then I also have to be aware of what compositions are being made in this space. And that's, I mean, is still difficult.
Beyond the technical issues, how did the pandemic emotionally affect your portrayals?
It's in everything.
Yeah, go ahead, Max.
Just in the whole play. Everything we say, it's just buried in it. You know?
Yeah,
I and sadness.
Yeah. Go ahead,
I think that, yeah, for me, right at the start of, well, the middle of our rehearsal process, really, when it was rudely interrupted by Corona, I remember when we met for the first time after it was announced that everyone had to go home and stuff like that, that I personally felt very out of it. I didn't see how theater was relevant in a time where there was so many issues that felt so real. It felt disingenuous to be still focusing on putting up a fictional show for a class in university. But also, I think that this entire rehearsal process, both when we were together and when we've been apart, has been a form of catharsis and comfort. I mean, every time I do crying practice, I always look at the screen because I'm trying to remember how we were when we were all together, and that just evokes so many memories. And you know, being at the green screen and that scene where we have private time, which is when we're all looking at old rehearsal footage, I think that's so nostalgic. And yeah, I mean, it's sad, but it's also revealed, to me at least, how valuable our time together was and how great this production has been in bringing people together, even though we've been physically apart. And I'm in Singapore, so I'm halfway across the world. I should know something about this.
Yeah, it was one of the hardest things rehearsing was dealing with the time zones. Because Luis is in California, Robin's in Singapore, and Leon's in Macedonia. And so the only time, if Luisa got up really early and Leon stayed up really late and Robin stayed up, no wait, how does it work? No, if Robin stayed up really late and Luisa got up really early, we could manage to have 2 hours of rehearsal together from 10 to 12. In the mornings on Saturday and Sunday. So that was the time we were together as a full company until the end, when both Robin and Leon just threw their whole sleeping schedule to the wind and started showing up at crazy hours. Thank you. Can you explain the title of the method gun? Do you all want me to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So the gun itself of the method gun receded in our performance online. Miguel's holding it up. But the term method comes from the term method acting, which is a form of actor training that was saturated American theater in the mid to latter part of the 20th century. So a very famous method actor was Marlon Brando. And it meant, I'm going to totally diminish it, but it meant that you like really had to fully experience what your character was experiencing: pain, anguish, emotion, joy. And there were different very famous acting gurus, Stella Adler, Lee Strasberg, who had different techniques, different methods of getting their actors to those places. And so Stella Burden was another method acting teacher. She called her method the approach. And the core tenets of the approach were that risk was a necessary ingredient to truth and to beauty. And so she kept a loaded gun in the rehearsal room. And that's a much clearer part of the play when it's in real life. The Connie Torrey interview that you saw with Elijah with the headphones, she kind of explains that whole thing, and that was something that got siphoned away from our production. So fair question. Okay, there's just a few more questions. Oh, actually, this is an easy one. This is for Betsy's grandparents. We're going to close out on questions from Betsy's grandparents. Can you talk about the difference between devising and improvising? Anyone want to take it? Why do you start? Okay, Leon, go ahead. Oh, and then Nick, you can.
Yeah, the way I understand it is improvising is when you're coming up with something on the spot. So while we're doing a scene, we'll improvise something. And devising is more methodical. It's more planning. So we say, let's split up into group and devise how we're going to do absence in a scene in a streetcar scene. I mean, that's how we would do it. We would split up into groups and then say, okay, poker scene. Let's see how all the ways we can do it. And then every group will come up with different ways and then we'll figure something out. So there is, I guess, improvisational thinking when you're devising, but devising is definitely not so on the spot. It's more thought out.
Cool. Nick, you want to add to that?
Yeah, and usually when you're devising, you're coming up with something that will end up sticking, and usually we'll write sort of what sticks with the devising out. So a great example is during our final Dream Ballet, when everything went to black, all of the things we came up with were devised. But if I can give a shout out, the piano playing that was happening in the background is wonderfully improvised by Dylan, who was sort of making that up as he went along in accordance with what we were doing on the screen.
And in the early scenes, Elijah was actually playing the piano live to a score that Dylan had written, which was great. And that was actually Chapin playing the trumpet. Great job. Devising often comes from prompts. So if you want to create a new work of performance, you can give yourself a question or a question that's interesting to you that you want to investigate it. And then you devise around that question in all sorts of different ways. And then slowly build the piece, add structure to it, start to think more editorially as you go along, rather than this kind of one-off improvisation. Okay, I think we're going to sign off. So join me in thanking all the audience folks who are still there, who stayed to hear this Q&A. Thanks for all of your questions. And we'll invite you into our final sign off of rehearsal. You saw a little bit of this in the play at the end of every rehearsal. It would go something like this. Our closing day performance is over.
Oh, God.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.